Here again with another Breaking Bad Season 5 episode review video. Before I get into that though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am and rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you found out that you're not caught up, then it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And you guys know that I'm almost done with this show. So I'll do the finale, obviously, and then I'll do El Camino. I will review El Camino. And then I'll probably re-rank the seasons on Breaking Bad and re-rank my favorite characters on Breaking Bad and potentially do my top 10 favorite episodes on Breaking Bad. So just to give you guys a heads up. And with all that in mind, as many of you know, this is not my first time watching Breaking Bad. I've seen this show at least 8 times. This might even be as many as my 10th time watching the show. I love the show. It's a good show. My third favorite show of all time. So join me on the journey and let's discuss the show in the comment section, along with the legendary Crazy Coffin Man, who is a Lucifer fanatic, a Dexter fan, and a Breaking Bad fan, amongst other things. So with all that said, this will be Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 13. The title of this episode is called Tuhajali. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So Todd's made a batch on his own. Lydia is there to watch along with Uncle Jack and Kenny. Uncle Jack and Kenny take their masks off, and Todd tells them that's not a good idea. Mr. White told me this, and this, and you shouldn't take your masks off. And Uncle Jack says, don't worry about what I breathe in. And then Todd's batch was 76% purity. However, it's not blue. That's the best you can do, Todd, is 76%. Jesse, drugged up out of his mind, probably does 90%. So Todd is not the best cook. That's for sure. How many times did Mr. White go? Todd wrote all Mr. White's instructions down, unless Walt left some details out, which might have been the case. So Lydia asks, where's the blue color? The buyers in Europe want the blue. That's what they're used to. That's what they're paying top dollar for now. Jack says they'll put food coloring in it. And then Todd's now one-on-one with Lydia and apologizes about the color of the product. And Lydia tells Todd she believes in him. And Todd actually made Lydia some tea. And Walt has called Todd and tells Todd he might have another job for Uncle Jack. And at this time, Lydia's leaving. Todd actually wipes his finger over the lipstick that's on the mug or the cup, and starts drinking out of the cup because he has an infatuation with Lydia. But anyway, during that conversation with Walt, and he asks Walt which jail and how many targets, and Walt says just Jesse Pinkman. So Todd again, he drinks out of the teacup. Gomez meets back up with Hank. Hank and Gomez ask Jesse about his plan, and then Jesse says that greedy asshole only cares about his money. So Hank uses meat to make it look like a brain and puts blood around it, and then tells Jesse, you're up. And then Hank and Gomez have had Huel picked up. They have him in a room or hotel, motel, I'm not exactly sure, or a safe house. And Hank tells Huel he's next on Walter White's hit list. Huel says, bullshit. They tell Huel Kuby is missing. Don't call Goodman as he sold you down the river big time. What the hell are you talking about? So Huel doesn't believe any of this. And then Hank shows Huel the picture of Jesse Pinkman laying next to the meat with the blood around it that the meat had in the packaging. And that freaks Huel out. I didn't know he was going to kill him. They just want him to tell them everything. They just want Huel to tell them everything that he knows about Walter White. Maybe you know where his money is. And Huel tells them that he and Kuby loaded 7 barrels worth of Walt's money. Now I know when we had the 7 barrels, I said 6 when Walt initially buried them. I was wrong on that. I don't know why I only counted 6. But so Hank and Gomez trick Huel into staying and telling them all this information. It's like, you're free to go, but honestly, I wouldn't. Don't make any calls. I'll take your SIM card out or your battery out so they can't track your phone. And then Walt speaks with Uncle Jack, saying Jesse's not a rat. He just won't listen to reason. Walt says that Jesse is like family to him. I mean, he likes Jesse more than his annoying brat son, Junior, that's for sure. I would too. I want to smack the shit out of Junior just because that one, why won't you die? That pissed me off early on in the show. So he wants Jesse's murder to be quick and painless, no suffering and no fear. Jack tells Walt he wants him to help Todd with a couple of cooks. Get purity up and the color right. And Walt agrees to one cook after the job is done. Walt and Jack shake on it, and then we're at Andrea's house now. Walt stops over. Brock, of course, is there. Walt asks Brock how he's doing, and Brock really doesn't even care what Walt's saying. I don't even think he answers him. Andrea hasn't heard from Jesse in 2 weeks, and Walt tells Andrea that Jesse is using again. And Andrea says that she'll try calling Jesse now. Walt gives her Jesse's new phone number for the Hello Kitty phone, and then Andrea calls and leaves a message, letting your friend Walter White is here, and then Walt leaves. That's exactly what they wanted, to let Jesse know that Walt is around Andrea, to think that she's in danger. And Brock doesn't even acknowledge Walt on the way out. Like, bye, Brock, and get the fuck out of here, old man. Kenny and Jack are camped outside of Andrea, so they're waiting for Jesse to show up. Hank listens to this message that Andrea left, and he says, "Nice try, asshole." He doesn't even tell Jesse about the message. All he's focusing on is trying to get Walt in jail. That's all he cares about. And then we find out from Gomez that we find out from Hank, or I can't remember who found out what, but there's no GPS at the rental place. So Hank's pretty sure that Walt buried the money out in the desert. Gomez says the van doesn't have GPS, and Hank says, but Walt doesn't know that. And then Junior's at the car wash working the register with Skylar's help. Oh my God. Give this to your car wash professional and have an A1 day. He seems so creepy when he does that. And I hate to... It's not like I don't like Junior because he has a disability. I just don't like Junior because they make him weird and creepy and annoying and just very I hope you die. Why don't you just... I don't know. Anyway, he keeps having A1 day and he has this weird face. I don't know. And then Junior says it's Saturday and he wants to go home, but they still don't want the kids at the house because of what Jesse did. Saul Goodman shows up. Junior is really excited. Have A1 day. Saul tells Walt Hugh's gone, and Saul tells Walt the kid's not as dumb as you think. So he's talking about Jesse, and hey, Walt, you might think Jesse's a moron, but he's not as dumb as you think he is. Now, Skylar asks Walt if there's any news, and Walt's like, not yet, but soon, I promise. And then Walt gets a photo message. It looks like Walt's money in a barrel. It's Jesse. Jesse calls, "You got my photo, bitch? I found 6 more like it." So Walt leaves in a panicked state. Jesse tells Walt, "I guess you didn't think of that." And Jesse says, "Get your ass out here as fast as you can." And then Jesse threatens to burn the money, Walt's money, if he hangs up the line, if the line disconnects or anything. And then Walt says, "I'm dying. You're burning money that belongs to my family." Walt says he's sorry about Brock. And, the boy had to... I knew what I was going to give him. We had to be on the same page against Fring. And then Walt says he killed Emilio, Crazy 8, and those gangbangers to save your life. But Jesse is too stupid to know it. Walt arrives at the place where he buried the money, the first cook site. And Jesse has stopped responding to Walt. And Walt figures out, shit, I just confessed to something. It was a setup. And then Walt can see somebody coming from a distance, so Walt makes a call to Jack and says Jesse is coming for him right now. He gives Jack the coordinates of the lottery ticket, and then Walt realizes that it's Hank, Gomez, and Jesse. And then Walt tells Jack, forget it. Don't come. It's off. Do not come. Walt hangs up from Jack. Hank yells out for Walt because Walt's hiding behind a boulder. Come on out, Walt! And then Hank tells Walt to drop the gun. Walt complies, hands up, walk towards me slowly. Get on your knees. Put your hands cupped behind your head. And then Hank cuffs Walt. And then Jesse mentions, I remember this place. This is the first place we cooked ever. And then Hank asks Gomez, should we flip a coin for the honors? And Gomez is like, no way, man. It's all yours. And then Hank gives Walt his Miranda rights. Walter White, you have the right to remain silent. You know the rest of it. Walt calls Jesse a coward, and then Jesse spits in Walt's face. And they kind of get into a scuffle. Walt handcuffed, but they still get into a scuffle. So they put Walt in Hank's truck, and they put Jesse in Walt's car. And then Gomez congratulates Hank. And then Hank calls Marie. She first asks, why does it look like brains in our garbage can? And then Hank says, baby, I got him. Dead to rights. Oh my God, you did it. Thank God. And then Hank tells her it's going to be rough for a few weeks, but it'll get better. Hank says he's got to go, and it may be a while before he's home. I love you. And Hank and Marie, unfortunately, have, spoiler alert, their last conversation that they're ever going to have. Unless you include the afterlife. Jack and his goons have arrived anyway, despite Walt telling them not to. All of them armed with guns, and Hank screams, drop your weapons! And Jack is like, Hank, they're identifying himself as DEA agents, and Hank, Jack's like, I want to see some badges. Him and Kenny say that. And then Jack's guys start to fire. I believe Kenny's the first one that starts to fire. It's just Hank and Gomez against a bunch of men. Todd's included in that. Walt is in the line of fire. He is kind of squirming around in the truck, and his glasses are going to break based on what he's doing. And things are getting very intense, and that is what ends this episode of Breaking Bad. So we now have shit going down on Breaking Bad. I mean, it's slowly built, but all these episodes are amazing. This was really good stuff. I'm going to give the episode a 9.5 out of 10. Obviously, we know the next episode is one of the best episodes in Breaking Bad ever. A lot of people's favorite episode. That's the climax of this particular thing, but then there's more stuff that happens after this. As far as my characters of the episode, I'm going to give the male character to Hank because he got Walter White. And Jesse's plan, though. And then the female character of the episode, I mean, Skylar didn't really have a lot of his. She was helping Junior out at the car wash. Marie just had that one conversation with Hank, their unfortunate last conversation that they're ever going to have. But Lydia, for some reason, I'm really liking Lydia on this rewatch, which I never really liked her character before, but she did the most, at least for the females, in this episode. Unless you want to count Andrea. God, you almost can consider Andrea. I forgot about her. But I'm going to give it to Hank and Lydia. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, especially if you like Better Call Saul or El Camino, make sure that you Hulk smash the like button. And keep in mind, I cover a lot of stuff on this channel. I created the channel because I wanted to talk about the things that I wanted to talk about. I don't necessarily have a particular niche. I just talk about what I want to talk about. So check out my playlist. There's probably a lot of other things that you like. And at some point, I don't know when, I'll eventually switch over to Better Call Saul. It might be like 6 months or so, but I'll be reviewing all the episodes of Better Call Saul, which I did the final season of, but I hadn't reviewed the previous episodes, so I'm just going to do them all over again. But anyway, Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Breaking Bad. What would you rate the episode, and whom, if you had to choose, would be your Bale and your female character of the episode? And last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, be a part of something special. Click right here for my Better Call Saul series finale episode review video, assuming that you've seen every single episode of Better Call Saul, and you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.